Hello everyone, Arden here, and yes, I'm back. I'm back with another ranking. I am back with Scream. Long story short, I won't be doing a new ranking of The Exorcist and Saw, since I got too much to say about Saw X and The Exorcist Believer that you might, with the emphasis on might, can expect a review of that movies alone. For now, I'm just doing Scream because I wanted to redeem myself in the Scream franchise, okay? Because my last ranking of Scream was not the best ranking I have made, let's be honest here. So, without further ado, let's just get started because... yeah, I'll be back! Coming at that last is Scream 3. Come on, it has to be Scream 3. Scream 3 is what you get when a 5th grader watched the first 2 Screams and was asked to do another one. The only film equipment they had was a piece of dog shit. It's bad is what I'm trying to say, okay? My biggest annoyance is the GD voice changer. But Arden, they use a GD voice changer in every movie. Don't be so bothered. First of all, don't say bothered, you sound like a 10-year-old. Second, the first 2 movies had a simple, realistic voice changer. No matter who you are, you sound like a sexy snare on Ghostface. The new one allows you to imitate every human being and speak full sentences with it. That doesn't work when you're on the other side of the freaking door. Scream movies are bound in realism. The whole premise is that it's our world, our rules and logic. The voice changer undercuts the movie's plot and in that way, and it's ungodly and distracting. The gas explosion death is like a mousetrap leading up to it, and everybody knows that never goes well without a hitch. There is no realistic way Roman could have stopped his pulse at the right time for Gil to determine if he is still alive. Roman is by far the worst Ghostface ever, and there is some competition in that field as well. Scream 3 has such a huge cast and they picked the most forgettable character around. Even Cindy doesn't know who he is before he has to tell her. And if you're talking about retconning, making him the Ghostface reveal after Billy and Stu, that takes away from those guys as well. In a sea of wasted actors, Parker Posey stands out and gives a good performance. We get a Carrie Fisher cameo, which is always fun, and I'm down for how they handled the Gil and Dewey arc, #Team Gooey. After realizing how big of a mistake it was to kill Randy off in the Scream 2, I liked that they came up with a half decent way to work him in this movie. And that might be it. This movie sucks. Coming in number 5, I'm getting so much backlash for this, is Scream 6. Look, hold on, hold your pitchforks, okay? Let me explain. This movie isn't bad, okay? This movie isn't that bad. So let me get my this out of the way first. The kills were great, the opening scene was cool, the acting was good for the most part, and the gore is still there. Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega are still decent in their final girl status, and Courtney Cox returned yet again as Gil Weathers. And lucky for us, Hayden Panettiere is back as Kirby. But that's pretty much it. Sam is too protective, which is not the Sam we know of Scream 6. They waste some hour weaving in the opening of this movie. Mindy Meeks is, like in the last movie, is still a copycat of Randy, and they just used her as an excuse to make that work. Although I know Randy is her uncle, but I don't care. Her brother Chet, I don't mind Chet. He's a cool guy. Although I think he's pretty much wasted in this movie, and especially in the last 45 minutes. And especially when you think about it, that he had to be dead. I mean, he's the new Dewey, actually. And can I just say that these ghost faces are the lamest and stupidest since Roman Bridger, and the lamest excuse of a ghost face since Scream 2. It's so unbelievable that the whole family of the last movie's killer followed Cemetery to New York and tried to kill all of their asses. Oh, and they didn't have the guts to kill Gil after the kill of Dewey in Scream 5. And can I just say as well that it would have been fun if it was Dewey against the cop Ghostface. I mean, you could have had cop versus cop, okay? Police versus police agent. That would be fun. But no, Gil survives yet again. And I think and come on. The only reason I think they didn't kill Gil Weathers in here is just because to keep Courtney Cox relevant. If there's one other thing I liked about this movie is, to be fair, the usage of the old masks and costumes of the old characters of the previous movies was actually kind of a great idea. I give the movie that. But for the rest, sorry, Scream 6 didn't really do it for me. Moving on. Comment number 4 is Scream 2. Well, Neve Campbell is great at convincing us that the trust issues Sidney has after Scream 1, and the new cast members are solid, including Liev Schreiber, who aggressively tries to prove he's innocent, and Laurie Metcalf playing a crazy lady. Impressive increase in the brutality of the kills, and they may be less original than the first film, but just as serious and more numerous. But for the rest, at closer examination, you find weird things because of the super rushed production and on-set script rewrite. Wow. One of these changes is Mickey being the killer, and a Ghostface reveal just as lame as Romance. The dude isn't seen for like 45 minutes preceding his big reveal. The last scene he is in also kind of made me knock it on the Scream 5 in both these rankings. That god-awful cafeteria scene where Sidney's boyfriend Derek starts the performance of the Patriots family that nobody wanted or asked for. It goes on forever as he dances over tabletops like a polo shirted Fred Astaire. And Scream 2 feels like an imitation of the original that needed more time in the oven. It could have also shaved off like 50 minutes because it's 2 hours fucking long. What are you trying to do in Scream 2? Win an Oscar? Take out the Thespian Sidney storyline that's not doing anything other than setting up a ridiculous climax where Laurie Metcalf is partially defeated by foam rocks and fake paper flames. That's as silly as a knife going through a bedroom stall partition, cleanly and accurately enough to kill a dude. It's as silly as not unmasking or choking Ghostface when you're climbing over his unconscious body. It's as silly as the filmmaking class discussion that's just an excuse for it to be meta. Basically, this movie is that tried to be serious and ended up a little silly, which bent the Scream 3, which tried to be a little silly and ended up a flaming trash can of a movie. Coming up at number 3 is Scream 5. Well, I already debated between Screams 2 and 5, but I have to give the edge on Scream 5 because of its Ghostface reveal. The way Ghostface is defeated and the god-awful cafeteria scene I just talked about. And I'm going on a little bit longer about Scream 5 because I have to tell a little bit long about Scream 5. But that's also because, you know, I already have that on my old ranking, which is something different than with Saw X and New Exorcist, okay? Hold your pitchforks again, okay? And look, I didn't want anyone else but Wes Craven to touch the Scream franchise, and he was dead. However, much to my surprise, this movie is still decent. Undeniably flawed and very stupid in some areas, but decent. To sum the new movie up, it was a valiant effort, and it was still easy to see that these directors were trying to make this work. Like every Scream, it has a very well done and suspenseful opening that was a staple of Scream that I was very pleased to see carried into this new film. Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera are great in the leads. You totally buy that these two are estranged sisters reconnecting. Something regarding her character were a little fanfiction-y for me taste, but we get into that later. The movie has some good suspense throughout. It's well paced, it's well shot. The performances of the Legacy cast are pretty damn good. David Arquette is especially great as Dewey this time around. Courtney Cox's Gale gets a badass moment towards the end, and Neve Campbell's Sidney, while very underplayed in the film, walks back on set like she never left. And the positive kind of stopped there for me. My biggest negative is its characters. Except the Legacy cast and the two leads, I didn't give a shit about any of these new people. And what's even worse is I don't even remember most of their names. I mean, the only names I remember are Mindy and her brother Chet, and then you have Wes Hicks and Sam Carpenter. Even the name of the second Ghostface killer. Nope. I just want to point out that you have two characters related to Randy, and I even have trouble remembering their names out of rankings. So I didn't care when they were attacked or they died. And when you don't care for like 80% of the characters, that's not a good thing, okay? Now, I did like the idea of this film. I did like the direction they took to make a statement about franchise fandom. My biggest fear was they didn't have anything to touch upon. And I mean, the first film was about horror movies, the second about sequels, third about trilogies, the fourth about remakes and reboots. And I also kind of missed that in Scream 6. And the issue I have with it though is it's not a constant throughout the movie. The same goes for Scream 6. It's about requels and everything, and it's not a staple of the movie. They talk about, and as in Scream 6 and in this movie, they talk about it a couple of times, and that's really it. It's not what drives the rules a little or anything. The idea was good, but the execution could have been a lot better. And the humor was also hit and miss for me. Some of the moments that were supposed to be funny didn't even make a lot of sense to me. For example, in the beginning, Dewey says to one of the characters, "One of the rules of survival is to never trust the love interest." The love interest was only the killer in the first film. So yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. If the rule was never trust the film nerds, I get it. There is a character in this movie being killed in her front yard at broad daylight. In 2 segments, Ghostface... I mean, come on! In 2 segments, Ghostface is attacking people in the hospital, and except for the main characters, there is nobody around. I'm sorry, but I've never seen a hospital so deserted in my goddamn life. Lastly, I found who Ghostface turned out to be kind of random and lame. I mean, it's kind of on par with Screams 2 and 3 and actually every Scream I have just talked about for me. Another thing that doesn't make sense to me and felt too fanfiction for me is that Sam Carpenter is supposed to be the daughter of Billy Loomis. Here's the problem. Look, I can believe, okay, that Billy Loomis is cheating on Sydney, okay? I can believe he's banging another girl and is screwing Sydney over. You know, I can get that. I believe that. But Billy Loomis is killed in 1996. This movie takes place 25 years later in 2021. With me so far? Okay. Sam Carpenter was 18 when she left to Woodsboro, and she came back 5 years later at the events of this movie, which makes her 23. So how can she be his daughter? This is also a movie with 2 killers, the boyfriend and the best friend. Best friend seemed like a lame killer at first, but I did like how bad shit she got when she revealed herself. She reminded me a little bit of a female version of Stu. But when she got the upper hand, she just crumbled like a little bitch, and it ruined all of her intimidation factor. Like, if she ever had any, but you know, I digress. By the way, can someone please explain to me how this scrawny ass 90-pound girl killed Dewey? Anyone? No, just no, I'm not buying it. Like, this girl is so lightweight, Dewey can literally flick a finger and toss her across the fucking room. And she kills him? I mean, not to be feministic or anything, but I'm sorry, but I'm not buying that at all. I also didn't like that Dewey and Gil were divorced in this movie, but what I hated more with this point is that Dewey left Gil. Let me make myself clear here. Dewey would never leave Gil. I'm sorry, but if you have been paying attention to these characters in the last 4 films, you know Dewey would never leave Gil. I did love that Gil avenged Dewey at the end, which was a nice touch. As in regard for the boyfriend being in the other killer, for those who have seen the movie, I got a question. What was he gonna do when Sam told him to stay home when she went to Woodsboro? Like, no, back off, we have only been together for like half a year. You stay home while I'm going to Woodsboro, back to Woodsboro. What would he have done there? Plan falls apart right there. What would he have done if the sister fell asleep in the car and noticed the inhaler was gone when they were far off town? What would he have done right there? Plan falls apart right there. There is literally a scene where he pulls up the inhaler and says, "I can't believe this worked." You said it, buddy! Nobody thought that would fucking work. That was asinine-like. A million things had to go their way just for that shit to work. At the end of the movie, Gil has been shot, Sydney has been stabbed, and Sam has taken 2 knife wounds to the abdomen. Yet none of them are carted off in the ambulance. Yeah, apparently gunshots and everything are just are just scratches or anything. I don't know. But yeah, I'm sorry guys. Number 3 for Scream 5. And number 2 we have Scream 4. I'm honest that I was fundamentally against this movie, even existing, since I felt like the story already concluded after the original trilogy. But it's fun to check in on so many characters over a decade after we last saw them. I also appreciate that Scream 4 corrects the tone of the series after Scream 3 uncontrollably leaned more to comedy. The movie does a good job bringing the series from the 90s, updated the technology to include live streams and viral videos, and updates its genre commentary to reboots and remakes. Stab being at its 7th installment is pretty funny, and that joke is part of that double meta fake out opening, which does make sense when you think about it. there are still some things that bug me though. Whose world looks distractingly different, and I don't like all the red herring characters who are creepy for no reason. Scream 3 was bad enough with Kincaid and Angelina, but Scream 4 is worse with Deputy Judy emerging from the shadows like she's about to ask where her precious is, and Sydney's Aunt Kate talking wistfully and making midnight grocery runs. And it's a small thing, but where do they come up with their new rule for horror remakes that you have to be gay to survive? Like, can someone please explain to me that phenomenon, because I maybe haven't watched enough remakes or reboots, but someone please explain to me. I also didn't like that, like with Scream 6, they didn't have the guts to kill off any of the OG cast members. If you are coming back to an established series, air that shit out, man. Inject some life with death. Instead of that, all the OG Scream stars survived, even though Courtney Cox is sidelined from the entire thing, third act. At least the Ghostface reveals make sense, as obnoxious as the characters are. Both Charlie's trademark entitled Nice Guy and Jill's seeking reality TV soap twist are believable murderers for a horror movie in the 2010s. And near the end of the movie is Jill's self-inflicted harm sequence is only one of my favorite things in the entire freaking franchise. Finally, Scream 4 has Hayden Panettiere, the new MVP of the new cast. So much great face acting, and she's such a nice person. In a perfect world, Wes Craven would have made a second Scream trilogy about Kirby, which I realized was a possibility with her open-end fate until sadly Wes Craven passed away in 2015. And number 1 is Scream 1. There was never any question about the number 1 spot, right? I mean, because Scream 1 is one of the best horror movies of the 90s. There is a reason this movie opened the entire genre and put horror movies back into the mainstream. It was self-aware, it was funny, and it was scary. Dude, the opening scene of Scream is one of the best openings in horror history. Not only does it establish right away that these characters like the same horror movies as we do, but it also kills off Drew Barrymore just 12 minutes into the movie. That chick was all over the promo materials. And both deaths in it are graphic enough to let you know this isn't just gonna be a comedy. In fact, most of the kills are solid, and especially the garage door death, as well as the end of the Stu Marker. And do you even want to get started about the tour de force that Matthew Lillard gives? Yeah, it might be over the top a little bit sometimes, but he is giving it his all, as is the rest of the cast. Neve Campbell establishes Sidney Prescott as a strong yet relatable anchor to this entire story. Jamie Kennedy bought so much goodwill as Randy that I saw Malibu's Most Wanted in theaters with my dad. And yes, I will admit that I saw Scream and Halloween H2O as a 4-year-old in early 2003 before the movie came out, and Skeet Ulrich as Sidney's entire boyfriend, Billy Loomis, is greasier and grimier than a glob of gopher guts. And that's another thing, these Ghostface are the best two of the entire series. They are the great combination of reason and chaos. Billy acts like the mastermind, mad about Maureen Prescott's affair that helped his parents break up, and whining about Blue Balls that he blames on Sidney. While Stu's motivation is more terrifyingly random. Few movies can successfully strike a humorous tone while making you take it seriously, but because Scream puts its likable hero in constant danger, all while presenting a great whodunit, a mystery that keeps the audience engaged. I don't care how cliché or common on an opinion has become, I freaking love the original Scream and I will respect the impact it had on our favorite genre. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys liked this new ranking. I think I did a lot better job than last time. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't. And this is gonna be the last ranking, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to make a new one. I hope you guys liked it. Please let me know what you want next time. And tot voor de week! Doei!